Hello, this is Sheshachalam from Astrogate Mysore. So today let us go into the topic of transit of Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, and this is for the year 2023 starting from today for 1 year. So we know that the transit of Saturn is a huge topic. It is it requires a lot of time for me to discuss this. For each ascendant it will take half an hour, but I am trying to wind up the whole thing in one video, which is difficult for me. But if only points are simply spelt out, 10 minutes it will be cleared. But still, I will try to explain each point in a small, intricately, I will try to explain it. Okay, as you see here, I have given the negatives of Saturn. The positives of Saturn are big, huge, big list. The negatives of Saturn are also not that small. That's why people fear of Saturn. Delay, stoppage, impediments, hurdles, chronic. These are the words which get associated with Saturn. Stagnancy, stagnant. You feel that it's not moving at all. You feel that it's stagnant. So, when Saturn is transiting Aquarius, it will be in different positions from different rashis. So, today I am doing the transit as a dual effect. Let us say that you can see it from both your ascendant sign and also from your moon sign. Some points will get related to the ascendant sign and some points will get related to the moon sign. You will understand them once you start relating them. So let us start from the point of Aries. So from Aries, that is the Kalapurusha, it is transiting in the 11th house. We should first note these points also, that retrogression of Saturn will happen on 17th this month at 13 degrees in Aquarius, and it will start coming backwards. So this is the direct movement and this is the retro movement. So it will start coming backwards from 13 degrees till 6 degrees and 19 minutes. So from 13 degrees until 6 degrees and 9 minutes, this particular point, Saturn comes back and will again become direct. There is another retrogression next year and again another retrogression next year. So it keeps happening. That is the angular, deviation from Earth, Sun, and Saturn. So this angle will make it continuously, becoming retro and again direct. The key points of Saturn when it is becoming retro or becoming direct is when that is the 1 week ahead and 1 week before it. So now it's actually in that particular period. So let us say on a given date it becomes retro. So let us take 15 days, that is one Paksha Masa. That is, Paksha means half of a month. So this is a very important period. Why? Because Saturn will have slowed down. It will be as good as stationary. So now when you see the speed of Saturn today, tomorrow, and for next 10 days, you can see that it is extremely slow and it will reach a point called zero. That is, its velocity will be zero. The people keep asking, astronomically Saturn doesn't stop, it still keeps moving, but it is as good as it is stopping, because it's as good as the ball which is thrown up in the air. And if you tell the ball, does it stop? Yes, it stops at one point. Here it becomes zero. So because it's not going up or it is not coming down, it's there, but it happens only for a moment. Here, this particular point, the 7 days early to it and 7 days just after that is very important. So that is called as a stationary period. What happens in a stationary period is that you shouldn't start anything new. So whether it is celebration or it is a good muhurta for building a building, or you are trying to do some investment in some market, do not do when Saturn is in the stationary period, because it will remain where it is, and many times you give something to somebody, it will not come back. So let us go into the details of from Aries till Pisces today. 11th transit from Aries. From Aries, it is the 11th transit. It's a beautiful transit. So the best transits for Saturn are 3, 6, 11. The Upachaya sthanas. The 10th house is also Upachaya sthana. Upachaya is the house of growth. It's called growth. So the 10th also is inclusive, but since 10th takes up another important signification called quadrant. So there it fails. So Saturn transiting in a quadrant is not good. Saturn transiting in a Upachaya is good. So it is a dual thing. No, it is both a quadrant and also an Upachaya. That is a Kendra and also Upachaya. So 3, 6, 11 is the best transiting areas for Saturn or houses. So all kinds of happiness, good time, happy time is seen from Aries. So you can also understand that Saturn is aspecting Aries. And in this particular case, since it is transiting in its Mula Trikona Sthana, so this is a Mula Trikona of Saturn, that is Aquarius. It is a very strong Saturn, very comfortable Saturn, a Saturn which gives you status, a Saturn which gives you social recognition, a Saturn which gives you good experience in this particular period of time, will also give good gains to Aquarius because it is in the 11th house, the Labasthana. Okay, gain of wealth and also receipt of excellent, social accolades. So you go to a particular place and you are treated well, you are respected, your confidence will simply build up. So this is a place where, transit of Saturn which actually builds your confidence. So this is for Aries. This is for Aries people. Secondly, we come to Taurus. For Taurus, this is the 10th transit. Now there is a mixed, result here. You don't expect that everything will be great. You will face stoppages, you will face delay, and you will face stagnancy in your job. Why? Because 10th house is your job. So 10th house is also known as Karmasthana. So, who is there in your Karmasthana? Saturn. And being a Yoga Karaka for Taurus, it should be giving you excellent results. But what actually happens is that you will meet such and such type of people that you will start indulging into activities which are not of that great moral ethics. What will happen is that it might not be initiated from you, because Saturn is there in the 10th house. You will not initiate it, but you will fall trap or prey to unnecessary acts. So don't get involved. Taurians, be careful for this year and the next year when Saturn particularly is retrograde in your chart, and it is also going to become retrograde. It will be a dual retro hit. So be careful in this particular period when it is in Kendra. So loss of dignity or loss of position in social circles and particularly in your professional circle is seen. And also it aspects the seventh. These are the houses what Saturn is aspecting now. 3, 7, 10. So when it aspects these houses from Taurus, it is also aspecting the 12th house. You can see that the aspect of Saturn is creating these things, and this is also there. diseases. So you need to be careful. That is, a native who is born under Taurus has to be careful with regard to unnecessarily getting sick. Next, going to Gemini. For Gemini, it is the 8th and the ninth Lord, partial Yoga Karaka. I will not call it a Yoga Karaka at all. From personally, Saturn gives more of a tough time for Gemini ascendants or Gemini moon placed, natives, rather than being a very great Yoga Karaka. It doesn't do it. And that's the experience of all these years. So, and it is transiting in the ninth house. Ninth house is for Pitrusthana, father. So there might be difficult to one's father or anybody who is in that position for that particular native, a guardian or a father-like person, even his elderly, fathers, elder brothers, they need to be taken care of in this period. And, you know, death like death like situations might be encountered by very old aged elders in those natives house, those things. That is why when Saturn is transiting in the ninth, when Saturn is transiting in the fourth, we usually see that the paternal side or the maternal side, something can happen, some unforeseen thing, but it's for the elders, not for it's not an accident. So don't have any panic here. So loss of property or wealth is seen in this particular period. So be careful if you are trying to sell or invest. Be very careful, and that is again because for these people you have the sixth aspect and the 11th aspect. The aspect of Saturn is always tough. You always might have heard, people who are talking in astrological circles, they might have heard that the aspect of Jupiter is very good, but the presence of Jupiter, the position of Jupiter is very tough. The reverse applies here. That is, the aspect of Saturn is tough, but the presence of Saturn always is better. It's not good, it is better. Yeah, just a minute. So, Cancer, that is transiting for Cancer. For Cancer, it is a malefic transit because it is transiting in the 8th house for Cancer, and there are many things that is tough for Cancerians. You can see that we can, if we count, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth house is aspected. The second house, the wealth, is aspected, and again the 10th house is aspected. So there, the problems of profession, 10th house, second house, wealth, fifth house, children. So these are the main places where you will spend your time and you will have a lot of concern with regard to this.
And it is Ashtam Shani, so
Ashtama Shani. Ashtama Shani, people should be very careful with regard to documentation. They have to be careful with their legal battles wherever they are going through, whatever they are going through. And they also should be careful in not unnecessarily jumping into, new cases. Don't put new cases here. You should not get caught up into problems where you will not have time to attend. Like, for example, it's like you will have taken up a new assignment, and you have suddenly, after taking up a new assignment and giving a commitment, let us say you have signed a bond, you will get an opportunity which is 10 times better than the assignment. Now you cannot jump off the bond, you cannot take up the new assignment, but you don't want to leave it. That's a very tough position. So please do not unnecessarily sign up to any documents.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Here it will affect the relationship also. So particularly this retro period, it will be better for the couples.
Extremely important.
To stay either silent or stay far off from each other so that they can pass over this time.
Your commitment. I always tell P and C. Patience, perseverance, and commitment can keep a marriage from not breaking. So show that in this period. This is for Cancerians. For Leo ascendant, this is the seventh transit. Saptama Shani is also a very, very tough transit.
Same thing, 6th and 7th Lord.
Exactly. But Saptama Shani is very tough because many a times I have seen people with the seventh transit leaving a very well paid and nice job and then jump into some business. Then they go through a lot of headache. And then they by the time they go through loss, they will have entered into Ashtama Shani. Daily, very difficult period for them. So people who are having a stable job, I do not want you people to jump into a new job unnecessarily. So also seventh house is for short journeys, for business journeys. So be careful, unnecessarily do not travel if it is not required, because wasteful travels are seen in this period. So very clearly, many a times it happens so that you make an appointment, you book an appointment, you come all the way from your country to another country to do some business deals, nothing works out, and you go through rejections, you go back, you have a sore feeling, you don't go through a good feeling in that period. So try to avoid as much as possible and see if there is some concrete evidence that the deal is going to happen. Only then it is better that you fix up the travel. So also in this period, when Saturn is there in the seventh house, there is a small hint of danger with regard to accidents of the leg. So please do not drive a two wheeler, ride a two wheeler unnecessarily. So be very cautious. That's the best advice for the seventh transit of
Here,
Saturn.
one more thing they can do, the pilgrimage travel will be good for them.
Yeah, pilgrimage. Pilgrimage, when Saturn is in the seventh house and in the 12th house, it is good for people to spend some time in spiritual activities. So let us go to Virgo. The sixth lord in the sixth house. It's a beautiful transit of Saturn. They will gain confidence. All what they had gone through, no, the tough time, now they have just come into a good period. They will gain confidence and do well. But when it is retro, please be careful. Do not unnecessarily commit yourself to anything in that particular period. But it's a quite a big period. It's a 140-day period. So retrogression of Saturn is not a small period that okay, I will wait for a week, it will be direct. So it's a huge period. So you need to be a little cautious from today itself till November 4th. But anyway, November, you'll also see that Rahu will come this side, Jupiter will be very permanently here, you will have a direct Saturn. So that's a better period from November. This year, November onwards, I think the recession of all these job problems which are running, the recession which is running, I think it will close up and close off, and people will have more clarity on how the world is going to,
But one more thing, sir, here. For anybody, those three houses, all three heavy planets are going to be posited.
Yeah.
So
There is one concept called as the Papamala Yoga.
yeah, that's
If
happening.
anybody can go through those yogas, you will understand these particular placements fantastically. So let us go to Libra. I think Virgo is finished. Yeah, it's a happiness, all round wholesome living. Virgo people will enjoy these next 2 years, but except for those retrogressions and other associations.
Little bit caution towards the digestion thing is required, because
Sixth house it is. It directly is sitting on the intestine, small intestine and the large intestine. So Libra, the fifth transit of Saturn. So we all know that again the second house is being aspected by Saturn, which is wealth. The seventh house is aspected, which is actually a Marakasthana, but still, for Libra being the Yoga Karaka, Saturn will not be a Maraka. And also the 11th house for diseases, chronic ailments. So this is a time when you should be careful with what you eat, and what you drink, drinking and eating, all inputs, because Annasthana is being fully focused by Saturn, and the fifth house is your stomach and the heart. You need to be a little careful with regard to the cardiac ailments and also food habits. Uh, there might be difficulty for in on the course of a pregnancy. That is, people who have already got conceived, you need to be careful, you need to be cautious. It's nothing to panic, but still being cautious is a good thing, because it is the fifth house, and untoward incidents of sudden going through abortions should not be seen. It's a bad experience. That's why I'm telling that people who have already got conceived and going through pregnancy, be a little cautious. Okay, keep monitoring.
Be careful while walking that you don't slip and fall.
Yeah, you should not trip. Okay, so going to the next Rashi is of Scorpio. So for Scorpio, we have the fourth transit of the third and the fourth lord. Third lord transiting the fourth house is a good thing for children who are into education, and for all those who want to take a loan and build and construct houses. So this particular thing is good, but Saturn in the fourth house might not speed up things, so you get frustrated. You get frustrated. And also, if you take this position of Saturn and see that it is aspecting the sixth house, which is actually the 12th to the seventh house. So the 12th means loss, and the seventh is marital life and marriage. So there is a chance that you unnecessarily will get into a small rift with your
Spouse.
relationship, or a spouse or your spouse, and then simply lose that thing. So you people who are on the verge of unnecessarily going into or speculating that should I take a divorce, if it is really required, you can go ahead. This is the period. But if it is not required, I would suggest, if you want to patch up, you need to be silent in this period, and it will patch up. Going to Sagittarius, the third transit of Saturn, and as I told you, the third transit of Saturn is a good transit. And being the second lord in the third house, it is Bhavat Bhava. That is, it is the second from the second, which will give very good wealth and gain of position, gain of wealth, good employment. How is it good employment? Is in abroad places, faraway places from your place of birth. So there is a chance that you might get displaced from a particular city or a country to another place, which would be a good thing to happen in this particular time. So there might also be, buying of property in this particular period. I am not unnecessarily involving stock trading and market in this particular thing, in this particular analysis, as mundane astrology is not progressively supportive in this particular period. And you can see the markets are extremely fluctuating, and this is not a good time to unnecessarily go into the details of speculation. So let us go into Capricorn. For Capricorn, it's the Lagna Lord, or it is the Rashi Lord sitting in the second house. That should be a good transit. Yes, it will give very good stability in family. It will give very good stability with regard to wealth and your property, whatever possessions you are having. But there is a difficulty when it becomes retro. 140 days of retrogression. So panic decisions in suddenly putting your money somewhere, you will lose that. And overconfidence, thinking that okay, I will earn 2 rupees more there, a buck more there, and I'll give it there. So that also will make it a difficulty. So we should be careful with regard to this particular position of Saturn. Okay, so children, birth of childbirth is also seen for those who have this transit of Saturn in the second. Aquarius, the transit of Saturn in Aquarius, you can close the door. Just a minute. Yeah. See the transit of Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, that is the Lagnadipati in Lagna. We call this Garbhagata Shani. For those who are having moon in Aquarius, we call this Garbha Shani. So this is the 12th, that is the Sadesati. For those people who have moon here, for those people who have moon here, it is also Sadesati. For those people who have moon here, it is Sadesati. So it has started. So Sadesati means the 7.5 year period of moon, which is transiting in the 12th, first and the second from moon. So that's a very different thing. We will talk about Sade Sati. I have already spoken many times about Sade Sati. You can get those in the end, screen. I'll put those videos so you can see them, check them out. But we'll not go into the Sade Sati now. We'll let us only understand the results of transit. So it's because of the time. So for Aquarius, you need to be careful with regard to your own health. All those long standing health, chronic health problems like breathing problems or problems of pneumonia, problems of diseases which are related to the windy kind of a disease, that is vata diseases like the rheumatoid arthritis, problems of your legs, the heels, the calf muscles, cramping, all these things which were earlier. I'm not talking about the new ones. The old ones will again, this Saturn will recall them. They'll tell that, okay, I think you had forgotten. Let it let them come back, and I will see that it will give you a little bit of pain. So this is like sleepless time and painful time. So Saturn's transit, I am talking about Saturn's transit. So it is not a transit where I will be, having lot of spark and energy, because it is Saturn. I will talk like a Saturn when I'm talking about Saturn. If it was Moon, Mercury, or Mars and Venus, I would have been in a different, style of talking. I'm talking Saturn. So Saturn will give difficulty. So people who are having this particular transit, they get into a fix. Like they want to sell a property, doesn't sell. They want to make a move, it's not happening. The visa process is not happening. You want to do something, build something, it's not happening. You want to get married, it's not happening. So all this not happening is not what is called as the delay, hurdle, stagnancy. It's like it's not moving. It's not that I'm going through loss, but nothing is happening. You feel that frustration.
It's like especially people who are having direct Saturn will feel the effect more during the retrogression period.
Yeah.
And the people who are having retro Saturn will feel the difference in the when the Saturn
Direct period.
So please understand this.
One thing you should understand, very important before I go into the Pisces thing. When we are actually doing analysis of a chart, we do a different kind of analysis. Some people call it Nadi astrology, some people call it anything else, but I also relate it to the Tajika system of Nilakanta Jyotishi, which actually has been written in the Tajikistan. That is the time period when people were there, great astrologers wrote it. Tejasthana, nothing but Tajikistan, which is famous for horses which can run at the speed of light. That is why they call it Tejas. But why am I trying to introduce that particular point here is that is where you understand the real effect of the angular displacement of the natal Saturn with respect to the transiting Saturn. See, for example, I'll take a very small break out of this particular thing. Let us say this is the ascendant and Saturn is here, exalted. So second lord and third lord exalted. So for Sagittarius ascendant. Now the transiting Saturn is transiting in the fifth with regard to or with respect to the natal Saturn. That is the Saturn which is in the horoscope. So the placement, let us say it is in Chitta Nakshatra, fourth pada, and let us say this is in Shatabisha Nakshatra. So we then calculate the Taravala, that is the nakshatras favor favoring whether Chitta Nakshatra and Shatabisha Nakshatra are having interrelation and favor. Whether there is a Sarvash, Sarvato Bhadra Chakra, we see whether there is some hit. We call that Veda points in Sarvato Bhadra Chakra. When we do not do that, you don't get accurate results in when you are predicting transit. So when I see Shatabisha Nakshatra, which is owned by Rahu, and Chitta Nakshatra, which is owned by Mars, there is a beautiful combination between these stars. And why is it? Because from Chitta, Shatabisha is in the second. Mars and Rahu. And from Rahu, it is the ninth. So that Dhanatara, that is making money and happiness. And what I go back from Rahu, it will be Adimitra Tara. Beautiful combination. So these Tara Bala combinations of transit in combination with the degree aspect of Tajaka to understand whether there is Itasala Yoga or Israfa Yoga, and then going into the levels of Sarvatobhadra Chakra to understand whether there is any Veda. And in the higher level, if at all a transit has to be seen to the highest level, then seeing which particular Murti it is, whether it is Swarna Murti, Rajata Murti, Tamra Murti, or Loha Murti, Murti Nirnaya has to be done, and then we have to go to Prastara Ashtaka Varga. It's a very big thing. So I will not go into any of them. Today I am just giving you results. After all that the great sages have written down, so I am just trying to give out the results. If I would have done all that, even one transit in one house, 1 month, it will take all lifetime. So these people who were there living, the sages, the great people who had their small huts and they had their pupils, hundreds of them, they would give one assignment. Transit of Saturn, 1 month, you sit and do research. 100 answer sheets, 100 experiences. So the guru will have so much of worksheets. So he will pick the best out of everything and he will make a big list and then scrutinize with his own experience. So he gets a lot of data. So that they would do it for each one thing, just transit of Saturn in Aquarius. Okay. No, all 100 would be given the assignment for 1 full month. They would sit and write. That was the greatness of those people who have done that. From starting from Parashara or even before Parashara, we don't have those documents to understand who were there earlier, because Parashara speaks about many astrologers before him. It's not that Parashara started astrology. So you can see it in the first few paragraphs of the Parashara Hora Shastra itself. He tells that all that I learned from my gurus. Very clear. So going to the Pisces transit. Pisces, this is the 12th transit. So it's in the place where you sleep. Saturn is in the place where you sleep. It gives you a lot of what is called, I'm not going to physics and tell inertia, but it will give you too much of sleep, lethargy, demotivated, your spirit is not motivated. So that is not a great transit at all, because it is not seeing good houses and it is not sitting in a good house. It is seeing the 6th, diseases, 2nd, wealth. It is seeing the 9th, father, forefather, elders in the family. It is sitting in the 12th. This is a tough transit for Pisceans. So all those who are having Pisces Lagna or Pisces Moon, be a little, cautious. Everybody I'm telling, be cautious. People will tell that what sort of a video you have done. You could have simply told that Saturn transit, be cautious. Anyway, okay. You can go into businesses of export and import depending on the Dasha Bhukti in your chart.
Natal chart.
Specifically in your natal chart. Okay, it can give you foreign trade. Okay, loss of wealth also is there. That is because of enemies. Why? Saturn is seeing your house of enemies. So it is enhancing their strength rather than your strength. So you need to be there a little careful to understand who are those fellows who are my opposites, who are sitting there to pull my leg or pull my business down. So you need to know that. Okay. And also, once again, family. So there might be some unnecessary spending for hospitalization and related things in the family. So I think this is enough.
Just to mention that Saturn is going to be retrograde in the nakshatra of Rahu.
Yeah, Shatabisha Nakshatra.
Yeah. So please understand the
You know who
importance
is
of
Rahu, you know who is Saturn, you know where is Jupiter. So this year, untoward incidences like cyclone. Now the cyclone which is now going into going to hit I think the southern part of Pakistan. I don't know what havoc it is going to create. Another 2 days, it's going to have a landfall there. Very tough time.
Also,
With
we
Saturn,
already
Dagdha, mass, it represents masses of people. People who go through a lot of distress because it is in Shatabisha Nakshatra. It is Dagdha, dead. The situation is dead. Saturn is in the dead state. And it is sitting in somewhere in the middle of the Rashi, which actually showcases those people who are in the middle age. That is Yavvanavastha Vruddhapya. Because this is an even Rashi and the avasthas are Mrityu, Vruddhapya, Yavvana, Kaumarya, and Balya. So these are how they are cut, and it is in between here. So 13 degrees. So it is in the Yavana Avastha. Young children can unnecessarily get misled. They can get into problems of understanding this world. You saw that shooting spree what happened in the school in US. So
also
who has to be cautious? God only knows.
we already have seen that Odisha train accident.
Yeah, train
Jupiter-
accident also happened.
Jupiter Rahu thing.
Sudden mass deaths can happen this year. So we all should pray to God that it should not happen. We can't do anything about it. That's mundane astrology. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.